Turning to one of our top stories, former Blackhawks head coach Joel Quenneville has resigned over his handling of sexual assault allegations during the Blackhawks' 2010 Stanley Cup run. Now, this comes after Kyle Beach, the player previously only known as John Doe in the Blackhawks investigation, came forward. Joining us for more this morning is former NHL player George Laraque. Welcome to your morning.
Thanks for having me.
What more would you like to see happen within the Blackhawks team, both members now and former members, now that these allegations have come to light?
Well, now that Stan Bowman stepped down and, I heard the CEO saying that everybody that was part of the senior management in 2010 was also out. But you know what? If now there's consequence on Quenneville, and I'm pretty sure with Cheval Day off today, there will be also, there's got to be consequence on the players also because, we all heard Kyle Beach talking, and he did say that he was getting homophobic slur from players on his team when he addressed the problem what has happened. So if there's consequence for the management, there's got to be for players also. And I think that a lot of players that were there in 2010 that are still playing today were probably really nervous about what he had to say because he never mentioned any names, but I'm pretty sure in the near future, we're going to know some of the names of the player that were insulting to him during this time because this, if we criticize, and we should, management about the fact that there was no action, we should also criticize players that were around him that not only they didn't do anything, but they made fun of him, and that's so wrong.
George, what does that speak to culture, both at the time and now, that something that is a crime was treated as a joke, as a slur?
This is the culture of sport, and I'm glad that it's changing today because, if you go 20 years, 30 years ago, athletes and teams got away with much worse things than that. And now we saw that, we're in today's era, we talk a lot about inclusion, whether it's, minorities, women in hockey, and even people that are gay that wants to play sport. But now to see that, past crime that has happened that went unpunished, it's awesome to see that the society is evolving now. And now players that were alone in the past could bring things back that they've been suffering from 10 years ago. And now they can bring light to all those problems. And now they could start the healing process about the fact that now that they were able to bring this up when they didn't say anything for so long. Because look at the consequence of that. For 10 years, Cal, alcohol and drug was part of his routine because of what's happened. So now, hopefully, I hope there's not going to be many other stories like this that's going to come out. But maybe now that this happened, some other stories like this will come to light.
Sheldon Kennedy, Theo Fleury both talk about how in their lives that was their way of self-medicating, right? Was by acting out. And Kyle did say this: I am a survivor. I know I'm not alone. I know I'm not the only one, male or female. I buried this for 10 and 11 years. If these things happen to you, you need to speak up. Do you think that we will see more people starting to speak up?
I hope not, because I hate listening to this and seeing this because it's appalling, it's disturbing. But again, if there is some athletes that have been through it and those crimes went unpunished and they're suffering like Cal in silence, I hope that they do. I hope that with the courage that Cal has shown by bringing all this to light, because it was not easy and he did it in a national audience like this, I hope that other athletes that are suffering silence like him will have also the courage, and it'll give him help to relieve themselves by talking about what went through so justice could be served.
George, I think when people are watching this, they want to know what's it going to take for real change. I mean, Kyle did what he was supposed to do. He reported it. He stated it. He went to the people who were supposed to help him, and that didn't happen. So what is it going to take for real change to come?
Well, real consequences. And, for Joel Quenneville, that's the best example of that. If we give him 2-game suspension, again, who was there to say that this is a consequence, But now that he had to resign to a team that was 7-0, and now his future as a coach in the NHL is in jeopardy because I don't see him coming back from that. You're looking at that, and now you'll see other teams, other GMs and coaches knowing that the NHL sent a letter yesterday about teams about respect, inclusion and respect, because now teams, they're going to be on radar of the NHL. They're going to watch everything now. And now that you know that things that happened in the past or that happens now, consequence of that would be the NHL. They no longer want people like that in the league. And this is not just going to cost you your job, but it's going to boot you out of the league. I think with consequences like this, I think that now teams will be more careful who they hire. They're going to do better background check to make sure that nothing like this happens ever again. Because, this is a branding of your team. You have fans coming, you want to show the example to what type of organization you are. And it's so important to watch out for all that stuff, to make sure that, all the players you get, you love them, they're respected, and they love that working environment.
George, this sport represents a dream to a lot of Canadian boys and girls. This is a sport that people start playing when they're very young, and the dream is to get all the way to the top, to get to the pros. What frustrates you about what happened to Kyle Beach?
Well, to make it to the NHL is the hardest thing, in the world, because there's a lot of hard work to get into it. And as a kid, you dream of being in the NHL, but you never think about the negative thing that could happen once you get there, because the road to get there is so much fun. And once you get in the NHL, it's the greatest game in the world. That's when the pressure starts, and that's when you start to deal with so many things. What's frustrating to me with Cal is, a first-round pick, he gets drafted by the Blackhawks, and he's the Black Aces. They know he have a good chance of winning the Stanley Cup, and it's the fact that he had to endure a crime, was in the NHL. As hard as it was for him to get there, this destroyed his career. I'm pretty sure he would have a long career in the NHL, but how can he after something like this happening and teammates making fun of him? And what's even worse than that, on top of the fact his teammate made fun of him, so he's totally alone and he cannot say anything because nobody pretty much believes him. But then Aldrich is celebrating the Stanley Cup, he's raising the cup, and the guy is setting aside, he's looking at this. Aldrich has his name on the cup, like nothing happened. And then he gets referenced to go coach in college hockey to abuse another kid, because Aldrich is like, I'm on top of the world. I won the Stanley Cup. I want to get another job. Blackhawks is helping me. I could do this again. I'm untouchable. Are you kidding me? This is what's so frustrating to me, because I'm Cal and I'm seeing all this. We are so lucky that Cal was able to talk to us and he didn't kill himself after all this happened, because, he's pretty strong to be able to withstand all that alone, taking all this for 10 years before he's able to, get this out, because what he said, it was so important. But I could just imagine all these things that happened after what he had to endure. It's so unfair. It was so frustrating. And man, if I would have been one of his teammates and I would have heard that story, my fist would have been coming out, because I was fighting for my play on the ice, but I would have also off the ice. And to me, they're so wrong. And I'm so glad that there's a bit of justice now, but nothing is going to repair the 10 years that he's lost since this tragedy happened.
George Laraque, I want to thank you for coming on Your Morning today.
Thank you again. Have a great morning.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.